In 1 month, in 1 week, you will sing a new song. In 2 days, a lesser than.
Good evening, my name is Florence Obuka, and today we'll be talking about lesson plan made easy. Now, it's important to note that there are 6 main types of lesson plan. We have the skill lesson plan, the reading lesson plan, the writing lesson plan. We also have the discovery learning lesson plan, the concept lesson plan, and the schema building. We won't be going into all of this, but the main purpose of this video is to break down lesson plans and how you can enjoy your lessons and make it as simple as possible. You know, the goal of this whole video is to make you enjoy lesson planning and lesson delivery. Now, the first thing to do is to state your goals clearly, and then the next thing to do is to put those goals into behavioral objectives. Okay, and it should be stated clearly for the children to see and know what to expect, and also follow through the lesson. The next thing is the assessment, and this is to determine if the behavioral objectives were met. This is usually in 2 to 6 sentences. There are various types of assessments, and we're going to just list them here, and these are assessments that could be done in so many fun ways, and make sure you have fun along the way. That is the main goal. This is what will make teaching enjoyable for you. We have the discussion type of assessment, which involves either a large or a small group of your students. We also have projects, and these are usually given towards weekends so that the parents will also be involved in the learning process of the children. Worksheets. You can use worksheets to assess the children based on the topics that have been taught. Performances, which involves grading in the classroom. Okay, after each lesson, you should try to give at least 1 or 2 class activity and grade the children immediately. Quiz is also another form of assessment, and it could be done either that day or another day, depending on the time you have. Tests. This is very common in schools, and we have the tell me assessments, which involves verbally communicating what the children have learned. And then the next one is the I have learned statements. You have to ask each child, especially those that you suspect might not be on the same learning pace with others, especially the slow learners. You have to ask them, what have you learned today? Just to reinforce what has been taught. Finally, on my list, we have the small speeches by children. So there are so many other assessments that you can mention that you know. Please try as much assessments that work, depending on what works for you. Just keep trying different assessments. The goal is to ensure that what you plan to teach or what you taught has been learned. The next thing to do is to ensure that you make a list of all the materials that both you and the students would need for that particular lesson. It's time to go into the delivery. So you have the opening. Make sure your opening is as short as possible. Short and interesting. Let's say between 30 seconds to 3 minutes. It shouldn't be longer than that. You should also provide an overview of that lesson through an advanced organizer. This would give the children a picture of what they should expect in that particular lesson, and they would even help you to mention the next thing once you're done with a particular part, and this should be followed sequentially or in a particular order depending on the concept that is being taught. Let's move to the body of the lesson. Now, the lesson should be presented in a list or an outline, and ensure to always keep it simple. Keep it simple. Ensure that everything you do is as simple as possible, because that's what will drive the message home. I need to re-emphasize that in everything you do in this teaching profession, ensure that you make it as fun as possible. Make it enjoyable for your learners. because your students and your learners will be looking forward to having your lessons if you are a fun person or if you make it enjoyable for them. Now the last part is the closing. Please make it as short and as simple as possible. Review your main ideas to reinforce what you have taught. It's not enough to stand before the children or to communicate some concepts or ideas to them. The most important thing is to ensure that they learned something after that lesson. Ensure that they have something to take home. So that's why review is very important. Now the last but not the least is the reflection. Bear this in mind that not every lesson is perfect. There's no such thing as a perfect lesson. You either have something that worked or something that you would need to do or try differently. Just write out 2 things maximum that you need to do differently and the 2 things that worked for you. This will encourage you. Thank you so much for having me. Bye-bye.